Hello, everybody. I hope you're all okay. Well, today I'm going to talk about present participles and past participles as adjectives. This is going to be the first point of our lesson. Adjectives that end in verb ing are present participles. They are things that are active and cause a feeling. Mind you, they are used as adjectives, not verbs. The first example is, my brother's job is boring. See, it bores him. The second one is, football is interesting for many people across the world. And adjectives that end in ed or in the verb 3 form are called past participles. They again act like adjectives. They express the feeling. They are mainly in the passive form, affected by the feeling. Usually, this form is used for people, not for things. Have a look at the two given examples here. My brother is bored with his job. He is bored. He is affected. Everybody in my family is interested in football. The most common verbs that are used in this way are given below. And when you have a look at the list of the verbs here, you can see that they are all actually regular verbs. So they can take ing to the end or ed or d to the end, and they become adjectives. Let's go to the next phase, people. Can you please use either present or past participles? What I mean to say is, can you put an ing or ed to the end of the given verb and use it correctly? So, she's always complaining about me. I find her very annoying or annoyed. She's always making me feel annoying or annoyed. That's what you should do, actually. Whenever I go from Mersin to Alanya, the scenery on the road is really excellent. I'm always fascinating or fascinated by its beauty. Whenever I see a serious mistake in my compositions, I feel really what? Disappointing or disappointed? My local team played rather terribly in the last match in Adana. Their performance was so disappointing or disappointed. Mind you, their performance, not people. I have just learned that more than 500 people died due to the coronavirus pandemic in the country yesterday. This news is so depressing or depressed, and frightening or frightened, actually. The news that more than 500 people lost their lives in the country yesterday has made many people depressing, frightening, or depressed and frightened. My son can't ask anyone for some money, even he really has to, because he finds it embarrassing or embarrassed. It, mind you. After I had worked nonstop for more than 5 hours last night, I really felt so tiring or tired because the job itself was so tired or tiring. Be careful, the job itself, not a person, not people. Normally, my wife cooks very well, but the meal she cooked in the afternoon was so disgusting or disgusted, that I couldn't eat after the very first bite. Let's see the key thing. She's always complaining about me. I find her very annoying. She annoys me a lot because she's always making me feel annoyed. Whenever I go from Mersin to Alanya, the scenery on the road is really excellent, and I'm always fascinated by its beauty. Whenever I see a serious mistake in my compositions, I feel really disappointed. I mean, they disappoint me. My local team played rather terribly in the last match in Adana. Their performance was so disappointing, especially for me. I've just learned that more than 500 people died due to the coronavirus pandemic in the country yesterday. This news is so depressing and frightening, actually, because 500 people lost their lives because of that coronavirus. The news that more than 500 people lost their lives in the country yesterday has made many people depressed and frightened. My son can't ask anyone for some money, even when he really has to, because he finds it embarrassing. After I had worked non-stop for more than 5 hours last night, I really felt so tired or exhausted because the job itself was so tiring. The job was tiring. Normally, my wife cooks very well, but the meal she cooked in the afternoon was so disgusting that I couldn't eat it after the very first bite, unfortunately. Now, people, another main point is relative clauses, or with other verbs, adjectival clauses. The first note we need to pay attention is a clause. When we say relative clause, for example, we're talking about relative sentences, but we mainly use relative clauses. So a clause is a sentence. Do you know the teacher who is teaching us math this term? This is the main clause. And the second one, starting with a relative pronoun, is relative clause. The second note says to us that a relative clause is like an adjective. It comes after a noun and it either defines this noun or just gives extra information about it. Like in the example here, she is the secretary who helped me a lot with the necessary documents yesterday. Who helped me a lot with the necessary documents yesterday defines the noun secretary in the main clause. It gives necessary information about the secretary. It in a way defines, which secretary she was or it was. Everybody in Turkey knows Mr. Erdogan. Who is the president of the country? Who is the president of the country gives extra information about the noun Mr. Erdogan. Since it's a name, we can just give extra information about it. And mind you, we use a comma here. There is the third note I would like to share with you. A relative clause is a sentence, not a word or phrase. I couldn't answer the question. Which question? Which was about the UK. Okay. 4. Relative clauses start either with relative pronouns or relative adverbs. And They do not have meanings, but just functions. So who, whom, which, that, whose plus noun, they are all called relative pronouns. And where, when, why, they are called relative adverbs. These pronoun and adverbs do not have meanings at all. They just take the places of the nouns the relative clauses define or give extra information about. Mind you, these relative pronouns and relative adverbs do not have meanings, but just functions. The women that came to the party were elegantly dressed. That here takes the place of the women, okay? Because in a normal statement, you can't use the same words after each other. Defining relative clauses. A defining relative clause comes after the noun it defines, and it normally starts with a relative pronoun or adverb, as said before. Relative pronouns as subject of the clause. Okay? These relative pronouns can be the subject of the relative clause. And for people, when they are the subject of the clause, we can use either who or that. I hate people who always complain, or I hate people that always complain. For things and animals, for subjective case, we use which or that. The hotel, which hotel? The hotel which is situated on the shores of the lake, or the hotel that is situated on the shores of the lake has a wonderful view. Can you please join the following pairs of sentences by means of an appropriate relative pronoun? Just try it. A vegetarian is someone. What kind of person is a vegetarian? Can you define this someone? Can you define it with this statement? The man is my uncle. Can you define which man is my uncle? An axe is a tool. What kind of a tool is an axe? Can you use this and define it, please? The nails are rusty. Tell me, which nails are rusty? I'm sorry. Yeah, we need to go a little forward, okay? Right. Now, yes, this is it. A vegetarian is someone that never eats meat. So instead of that, we can use who as well. The man, which man? The man who is coming towards us now is my uncle. An axe is a tool. What kind of a tool is an axe? That is used for chopping wood. The nails are rusty. Which nails are rusty? The nails which are in the toolbox are rusty. Relative pronouns as the object of a verb. Relative pronouns may act as the object of a verb as well. For people, we use who, whom, or that. My father doesn't respect the politicians. Which politicians doesn't my father respect? He doesn't respect the politicians who or whom or that we always see on TV. when the pronoun is the object of a verb, it can be omitted, it can be left out from the sentence in defining relative clauses. So the objective relative pronoun is optional. For things and animals, we use either which or that. Mind you, they are in parentheses too. Most probably, they are optional too. The novel is very interesting. Which novel is very interesting? Which I finished reading yesterday, or that I finished reading yesterday. Okay. When the pronoun is the object of a verb, it can be omitted from the sentence in defining relative clauses. Can you please combine the two sentences using the second one as a relative clause? So, I have just written to the American girl. Which American girl? The candidate wasn't elected. Which candidate wasn't elected? Can you define it with this sentence, please? The waiter is always getting in trouble. Which waiter is always getting in trouble? Can you use this and define the waiter, please? I never liked the music. Which music do I never like? See, use this and define it, please. The infectious disease seems to be very serious. Which infectious disease? Can you define it using this one, please? Let's see. There is the key on the screen, as you can see. I have just written to the American girl that I met on holiday last month. So instead of that, we can use who or whom as well, okay? Because it is the object. The candidate I voted for wasn't elected, or the candidate that I voted for wasn't elected. The waiter who the manager shouted at, or the waiter the manager shouted at is always getting in trouble. I never liked the music my son plays after midnight, or that my son plays after midnight. The infectious disease mom is suffering from, or that mom is suffering from, seems to be very serious. So we can also use whose plus noun as relative pronoun. It is used both for people and non-humans to show possession, as in the given example below. Do you know the student whose father was the mayor of Adana 2 years ago? Mind you, after whose, you need to use a noun, okay? Mind you that whose shows possession here. The book is mine. The book whose cover you tore accidentally is mine. The book whose cover you tore accidentally is mine. Combine the pairs of sentences below by using whose plus noun. Mind you, the relative clause starts with whose plus noun here. It was the book. Yes. Which book was it? Have you met the artist? Which artist? Bring me the frying pan. Which frying pan? You must see the man. Which man? He is the writer. Which writer is he? Let's now have a look at the key. It was the book whose cover was torn. Have you met the artists whose paintings are on display in our gallery? Bring me the frying pan whose handle is green. You must see the man whose car I just bought. He is the writer whose novels I most admire. Also, friends, we also use relative adverb where for place. There is an example for you. Istanbul is the city where Atatürk died. So instead of there, we use where. So where shows place. And then we have when showing time. And a good example for this is 1938 is the year when Atatürk died. The year when. So instead of then or in that year, we just use when. Another relative adverbs for showing reason is why. Do you know the reason why Ali was punished? So instead of for that reason, we just use why. Do you know the reason why Ali was punished? Okay, Paul, thanks for listening. Please take care of yourself.